Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be talking about depression. Depression is a very well kept secret of high functioning people sometimes. I've probably had high functioning anxiety most of my life. I've definitely had phases of my life where I didn't experience much anxiety at all. The first time I experienced prolonged anxiety was one summer when I was 7 years old. I was in New Hampshire at the time, and I found this rock in our house, and it was probably a 8-pound rock, this big. And I picked it up. It was really hard to pick up, but I picked it up and I laid down on the floor and I just placed it on my chest. And it was so comforting because that was what it felt like on the inside. How that heavy rock felt on a 7-year-old's chest was how I felt on the inside every day. I had some anxiety-free times, but that was the first time I remember waking up every day and feeling anxious and going to bed every day and feeling anxious. Anxiety just kind of came with the territory. I thought everybody felt that way all the time. The first time I remember experiencing depression, though, was after I moved from New Hampshire to Greenville, South Carolina. I was 10 years old at that point, and I had that helpless I remember feeling that depression for the first time. It was that despair feeling, that hopeless feeling, not wanting to go on, but not really knowing how to go back. I made friends and it pretty much went away. When I hit adolescence, I definitely got it back again. For certain periods of my life, I would deal with my depression in less than helpful methods, such as cutting or bulimia. When I first went to college when I was 18, after my first semester there, my depression hit a peak. I was going through some personal stuff at the time. I wasn't very good at school. I was going through some relationship stuff. But the biggest thing of all was that I didn't feel like my inner spirituality aligned with the religion that I was placed in. So just kind of all around tough waters to navigate. I ended up moving to Indiana in 2011. I felt like it was going to be a fresh start. I felt like everything was just going to fall into place. And it did and it didn't. But the parts of it that didn't were also very hard on me. I experienced depression for a while longer. As I began to get sick with my lupus, depression was definitely a very present side effect of all of my symptoms. And then after I gave birth to my son, I had really bad postpartum depression. After I got out of my postpartum depression, I really didn't experience depression after that for probably about a year. But then I started going through the really thickest part of my divorce, and it started hitting me again all the time. I was so anxious that I ended up losing 50% of my hair just from stress. It's actually kind of funny, you gotta see. I feel like I hide it well, but sometimes I don't. All that is post-divorce, and then all this is pre-divorce. So I have like 2 different hair lengths right now. But then I started working and I moved again. I moved from Indianapolis to Lafayette. I made new friends. Things started being good. Little mood dips here and there throughout 2020, but for the most part, I was pretty good. The last 3 or 4 months, though, have been really hard on me. I was a psychology undergrad, and I have always been fascinated in self-help and the mental health field in general. So I know the tricks. I know to eat right. I know to drink enough water. Barely eat carbs to begin with, so I didn't have to worry about cutting out any processed foods. I already stay away from sugar. I know all the tricks. I know to meditate. I know to do the tapping method to alleviate anxiety. And I would do those things consistently. And my depression would ease up a little bit, but not enough to where I wasn't counting the hours from the time I woke up to the time I could go back to sleep again. I've been trying to be more proactive recently about my health, including my mental health. I've had about a month of really trying to improve my mental health on my own, staying consistent with everything. However, I will be good for maybe a day or two at a time, and then I go right back to where I was. After speaking to some very, very wonderful friends and mentors, I decided to reach out to my doctor to get prescribed some anti-anxiety or antidepressants. Today I picked up Buspar. She has me on 15 milligrams as needed every day. She said I could play around with the dose and let her know if it wasn't enough and what I think a good dose would be for me. And since I start that tomorrow, I wanted to go ahead and make this video on what depression feels like while it's still fresh in my mind. For me, depression feels like walking in something thicker than water, almost like walking in oatmeal, trying to think in oatmeal, trying to feel in oatmeal. It's one of those where I can make everyone in the room feel happy and comfortable, and I can make them laugh. And I can watch that, but I can't be part of it. It's like I'm good and I'm present, but on the inside, it just feels like brain fog, but more than that, emotional fog. Nothing really has color, nothing really has taste. When I have depression or anxiety this bad, I usually spend a lot of time on the floor. Something to ground myself. I will lie down on the floor, I will sit on the floor, I will try to find reasons to be on the ground. In high school, when I had really bad depression, I was always on the floor. A lot of people think of depression as feeling sad all the time. But for me, it's usually feeling nothing all the time. Feeling like what you're doing doesn't matter or how you feel doesn't matter, so why feel anything? For me, it's like a muted sense of joy and excitement and a very present fog. You know those commercials for all the anti-anxiety medications or bipolar depression? That's the one that comes to my mind the most, where it's like a lady who has her happy face on a stick and she's just walking around, but inside she's, sad looking out the window or something like that. That is a commercial that definitely strikes home for me because I'm very good at smiling. I'm very good at putting on a front. However, how it really feels on the inside is I don't want to go on. I've been suicidal before. I am not suicidal now. However, despair creeps in where it's like you're just counting the hours of your life until it gets over. It's like walking through a fog where you feel absolutely nothing, and then there's a break in the clouds, and you think, oh, I'm going to have a glimmer of emotion right now, but instead what you feel is sadness instead of joy or happiness or excitement. I'm really excited to start the Peace Bar. I think it'll help me get over this hump. I don't think it's something I'll be on forever, and I definitely told the doctor that I want to get off as soon as I get over this and reach the next spot. I was on Zoloft for all of like 8 days before I went into steroid-induced psychosis, so that's really been my only experience with antidepressant medication. I'm definitely planning on checking in a month or so and letting you know how it goes and how I feel. But for those of you battling the idea of getting on medication for how you're feeling, I was too, definitely. I still am sometimes. But I want to share with you some of the things that people have told me along the way and some of the things that have encouraged me to seek help. One of them is your mental health is just as important, if not more important, than your physical health. So many studies have shown that, where people who remain hopeful tend to live longer in the face of terminal illness. People with better attitudes have better outcomes in surgery, so on and so forth. So if you're depressed and you're trying everything you can and you just can't break out of it, take a pill for your head just like you would take a pill if you had some kind of infection in your body or a cold that just wouldn't go away. You would definitely pop a NyQuil a few nights in a row and just beat it. Don't let depression go on for years and years like I have. Another thing that was encouraging to me, all the people who have hidden their medication use for years, all the people that are ashamed that they need help when it comes to their mood. I'm calling bullshit on it. I'm calling bullshit on it right now. And that's bullshit that I've believed for a while. Your mood is your life. If your mood is not good, your life is not good. You can have everything in the world going for you right now. And if you don't feel happy, it's not working and it's not a good life. So focus on the root of the problem, which is your mental health, before you focus on anything else. Another thing that was encouraging to me is thinking of the generations that come after us. If Leo experiences anything like what I've experienced, which there is an aspect of it to it that is genetic, so He might. I would love for him to get help. I would love for him to get therapy and medication if he needed it and do everything he could to help. And since I'm doing that first, I can pass those tools on to him. I can let him know that it's okay, that it doesn't have to be forever. And if it is forever, that's fine too. And the more open and accepting and loving we are about all this now, the less fight and internal conflict they will have later. If Leo ever has to go on medication, I certainly don't want him experiencing the back and forth that I experienced internally before reaching out to my doctor and asking for help. Another thing that I was reminded of over and over and over again by the people who are closest to me and the people who love me most is that they're not going anywhere. The people who love you are not going to be disappointed in you for making your life better. The people who are worth it are going to be proud of you for making sure that you are the best version of yourself that you can be. Those are all the things that encouraged me to reach out to my doctor. I'm looking forward to hopefully getting to a better place soon. I want each and every one of you to know that it's okay to be exactly where you are and it's okay to get help. And like most other high functioning, empathic, anxious people out there, I give hella good pep talks. So if any of you guys need some encouragement to go whichever direction you're planning on going, hit me up. I would love to talk to you more. And I look forward to going down this next journey with y'all. See ya.